Welcome back to the channel, Houston Texans family. Today, we are standing on the precipice of one of the most stressful yet exciting times in the franchise's recent history. The air in Houston is thick with anticipation, but a dark cloud has just moved over the practice facility at NRG Stadium. Just when we thought we were heading into the postseason with full steam, the official injury report has dropped, and it contains a bombshell that no one wanted to hear. Our star rookie cornerback, Kamari Lassiter, is officially out for the upcoming clash against the Indianapolis Colts. Think about that for a second. We are talking about a guy who has been a pillar of this secondary, a player who has consistently defied the odds and shut down veteran receivers all season long. Why now? Why, with the momentum shifting in our favor, do we lose such a critical piece of the defensive puzzle? This isn't just a minor tweak. This is a strategic earthquake that could rattle the very foundation of DeMeco Ryans' defensive scheme just as we prepare for the high-stakes environment of the wildcard round next weekend. This season has been a roller coaster for the Texans. We've seen incredible highs, from clutch victories to the emergence of a new culture under Ryans. But we've also seen the brutal reality of the NFL grind. The injury report lists Lassiter with a nagging ankle issue. Now, we remember Week 17, right? The battle against the Los Angeles Chargers was a dogfight. Lassiter went down, and for a moment, the collective heart of Houston stopped. He showed that Texas toughness by returning in the second half to help secure that 2016 win, a victory that essentially punched our ticket to the big dance. But at what cost? It seems that ankle didn't recover as quickly as the coaching staff hoped. The decision to sit him now is a calculated gamble. On one hand, you want your best players on the field to build rhythm. On the other, you cannot afford to have a compromised star player heading into a do-or-die playoff game next week. This decision reflects the long-term vision of Nick Caserio and DeMeco Ryans. They aren't just looking at the Colts, they are looking at the Super Bowl. But let's look at the stats, because they don't lie. Kamari Lassiter has been more than just a body on the field. He's been a playmaker. His ability to trail the league's top wideouts has allowed our pass rush, led by Will Anderson Jr., those extra split seconds to get home. Without Lassiter on the perimeter, the ripple effect through the defense is massive. It forces other players into roles they might not be ready for. It puts immense pressure on our safeties to provide over-the-top help, which in turn opens up the middle of the field for the opposing offense. And it's not just Lassiter. The report is cluttered with names that should make any fan nervous. Jamal Hill is out with a calf injury. Trent Brown, our massive tackle who is so vital for protecting the blind side, is questionable with ankle and knee issues. If Brown can't go, our offensive line becomes a revolving door at the worst possible time. We also have a Johnny Carter and Darrell Taylor listed as questionable. These are depth pieces that the Texans desperately need for rotation. In a game of inches, these names matter. The Colts aren't exactly healthy either, but they are playing for pride and a chance to play spoiler. They've lost Sauce Gardner for the season, which is a huge break for our receivers, but they are starting Riley Leonard at quarterback. A rookie quarterback is always a wild card. They're unpredictable, they run, and they take risks. Without Lassiter there to bait him into mistakes, Leonard might find some confidence early. We've seen this story before in Houston, the next man up mentality. But can the depth players really fill the shoes of a potential Defensive Rookie of the Year candidate? The pressure on the remaining cornerbacks like Derek Stingley Jr. is now through the roof. Stingley will likely have to travel with the Colts' best threat, leaving the other side of the field vulnerable. This is the ultimate test of coaching. DeMeco Ryans was a linebacker, a leader of men, and he knows that defense is about communication and trust. When you remove a starter, you break that chain of trust. The storytelling of this season has been about overcoming adversity, and this is yet another chapter in that saga. We've gone from the basement of the AFC South to a playoff-caliber team in record time, but the NFL is a what-have-you-done-for-me lately league. If we stumble against the Colts because our defense is shorthanded, what does that say about our depth? What does that say about our readiness for the postseason? This injury report isn't just a list of names. It's a map of the obstacles standing between the Houston Texans and a deep playoff run. Every fan needs to be aware of the stakes here. We aren't just playing for a win, we are playing to prove that this roster is built to withstand the physical toll of a 17-game season. The loss of Lassiter is a blow, but it's also an opportunity for someone else to become a Houston legend. Will it be a Johnny Carter if he plays? Will it be a veteran stepping up? The eyes of the NFL are on Houston this weekend to see if this team is a true contender or just a lucky participant. We have to look at the historical context too. Whenever the Texans have had major defensive injuries in the past, it has often derailed promising seasons. Think back to the J.J. Watt eras, where one injury would change the entire complexity of the team's identity. DeMeco Ryans is trying to build something more sustainable, a team where the system is the star, not just the individual. This weekend is the ultimate test of that philosophy. If the Texans can shut down the Colts offense without their best cornerback, it sends a message to the rest of the AFC. We are dangerous, no matter who is on the field.
But if they struggle, if they give up big plays over the top, the narrative changes. The media will start questioning if Houston is a one-and-done playoff team. They will point to the youth and the injuries as reasons why the Texans aren't ready for the big stage. This is why this news is so explosive. It's not just about one player. It's about the identity of the 2024-2025 Houston Texans. Stay with me, because in the next part, we're going to break down the tactical nightmare this creates for the defensive coordinator and look at the secret weapons the Texans might use to fill the void.
Now, let's dive even deeper into the tactical nightmare that Kamari Lassiter's absence creates and look at the broader implications for the Houston Texans as they march toward the playoffs. When you lose a cornerback of Lassiter's caliber, you don't just lose a player, you lose a specific set of defensive calls. DeMeco Ryans loves to use aggressive man-to-man coverage to allow his front four to hunt the quarterback. With Lassiter out, the Texans might be forced to play more zone coverage. While zone can be safe, it often allows a quarterback like Riley Leonard to find soft spots and rhythm. It's a chess match, and the Colts just took one of our most powerful pieces off the board. But let's talk about the silver lining, because in the NFL, every crisis is an opportunity. This week of rest for Lassiter is actually a genius move if you think about the long game. The wildcard round is where careers are made and broken. Having a 100% healthy Kamari Lassiter for a matchup against the likes of the Chiefs, Bills, or Ravens is far more important than having a 70% healthy Lassiter against the Colts in a game that doesn't change our playoff status. Nick Caserio is playing the long game. He's seen how seasons end when players are rushed back too early. By sitting Lassiter now, the Texans are ensuring that their primary defensive weapon is sharpened and ready for the real war that begins next week. However, the questionable tags on the rest of the roster are what keep me up at night. Trent Brown is a massive human being who anchors that offensive line. If he's out, C.J. Stroud, our franchise savior, becomes vulnerable. We cannot afford to have Stroud taking unnecessary hits in Week 18. The offensive strategy has to shift. Expect more quick passes, more screens, and a heavy dose of the run game to keep the clock moving and keep Stroud upright. The fan reaction to this news has been a mix of panic and pragmatic understanding. On social media, Texans fans are debating whether we should even play our starters at all. Why risk Stroud? Why risk Will Anderson? But Ryans knows that momentum is a fragile thing. You can't just turn it on in the playoffs. You have to stay hot. This game against the Colts is about fine-tuning the machine while keeping the key components safe. Now, let's look at the secondary figure in all of this, DeMeco Ryans. This is where he earns his paycheck. He was the defensive coordinator for a 49ers team that was famous for its next man up success. He knows how to mask weaknesses. I expect to see some creative blitz packages this weekend. If you can't cover forever, you have to get to the quarterback fast. Look for the Texans to bring pressure from unconventional angles to confuse Riley Leonard and force him into quick, bad decisions. This is the tactical evolution we need to see. Furthermore, let's analyze the Indianapolis side of things. The Colts losing Sauce Gardner is a massive blow to their future and their current morale. Gardner was their high-profile acquisition, and his season ending this way is a disaster for them. They are also missing Anthony Richardson, who has been sidelined with that eye injury. Riley Leonard is a rookie with a lot to prove, but he's playing behind a line that has struggled. This is a game the Texans should win, even with the injuries, based on sheer talent and coaching. But the NFL is never that simple. Let's talk about the rumors circulating in the league. There are whispers that the Texans might be looking at free agent depth for the secondary, just in case Lassiter's ankle is worse than they are letting on. While the team says it's just rest, the out designation for a final regular season game often carries a bit more weight behind the scenes. Could we see a veteran signing this week? It's unlikely this late, but Caserio is always working the phones. The focus remains on the current roster. Players like Ajani Carter and Darrell Taylor need to show they can contribute. If they can't provide quality snaps, the Texans' defense will be exhausted by the fourth quarter. This is about depth, endurance, and the Texas-made grit that this team has preached all year. Let's compare this situation to some of the great Texans teams of the past. In 2011 and 2012, the Texans had elite defenses, but they often struggled when a key piece like Jonathan Joseph or Daniel Manning was hampered. The difference now is the coaching staff's pedigree. Ryans and his staff have a modern approach to recovery and scheme flexibility. They aren't panicked, so the fans shouldn't be either. But we must be alert. The Colts are a divisional rival. They would love nothing more than to injure another Texans player or embarrass us on our way to the playoffs. It's going to be a physical, ugly game. The key for Houston is to get out of this game without any new names on that injury report. If they can beat the Colts, rest Lassiter, and get Trent Brown back to full health, the Texans will be one of the most dangerous teams in the AFC. Imagine a fully rested Lassiter and a motivated Stroud going into the wildcard round. That's a recipe for an upset. In conclusion, while the news of Kamari Lassiter being out is a shock to the system, it's a move that prioritizes the bigger picture. The Houston Texans are a franchise on the rise, and they are making big boy decisions now. This weekend is about survival, strategy, and showing the world that this team is deeper than just its stars. We need every fan to bring the noise, even if you're watching from home. This team needs our energy. What do you think about this decision? Is sitting Lassiter the right move, or are we giving the Colts too much of an advantage? Do you think Trent Brown will play? And how worried are you about CJ Stroud's protection? Let me know in the comments below. I want to hear your score predictions and your thoughts on the playoff seeding. Don't forget to smash that like button if you're a true Texans fan, and subscribe to the channel for the fastest, most in-depth Texans news on YouTube. We are on the road to the playoffs, and we are doing it together. H-Town proud. See you in the next video as we react to the final game results and get ready for the wildcard round. Go Texans!